Hi everybody, thank you for joining me again in this video about spring cleaning. And one of the very most profound pieces of training that I can offer you as an entrepreneur has really nothing to do with your business, which is kind of funny, right? But it is about the most basic of all services to your own self, and that is your wellness. As an entrepreneur, we often lose track of all the things that we do, all the responsibilities that we have, all of the commitments that we've made. We extend ourselves to such a point that we are stretched so thin that one more thing, one change in a deadline, one change in a supply line, one change in anything, in a payment, and the whole house of cards can fall down. And we don't want to live that way. We want to be in wellness. And oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we leave corporate jobs to have more balance, right? To raise our families or take care of our parents. We want to have more time freedom. We want to have more agency where we are in charge of our lives in a more hands-on way, right? We aren't at the whim of other people, of our managers and the corporate bosses that be. But we also are responsible even more so for our wellness. And so in this section of our video, we're going to talk about wellness in a brand new way, because in my opinion, there are 10 categories that live in your wellness wheel, right? So imagine a wheel, and I'll show you it in a moment. There are 10 categories of that. And you might think, I don't have 10 categories of wellness. I think you do. Right? And part of the relationship between all the different parts of you is that if something is low, if something is struggling in your life, then even the very best of what you have going on is impacted. So for example, if you made a massive sale and you have a huge deal coming through, but your marriage is in shambles, you don't feel whole. Right? You don't feel whole. If you are absolutely depleted physically, you are feeling lethargic, you are feeling sick, it doesn't matter that something amazing is happening over here, because physically you can't enjoy it, right? So if you have some amazing, you win an award for your great work, you're an architect and you win some major industry award, but physically you can't even drag yourself to the awards ceremony, that kind of imbalance impacts us as entrepreneurs. It impacts us in every way of our life, as parents, as siblings, as community leaders. So our wellness is important, and all 10 categories are equally important for our wellness. They all contribute to the whole, right? And so let's take a look at them. We have spiritual well-being, which is purpose, faith, and prayer. This is not tied to a religion. This is just a spiritual component that you know you are created and you belong to something bigger than your own self. Your emotional well-being is feeling all the feelings. Your relationship well-being talks about the love for your partner and your family. So your relationships, your intimate relationships in your life. Your physical well-being is sleep, food, exercise, stress management, all of those things. Your social well-being is how strong is your connection to others? Do you have a strong connection to people outside of your family? Do you have a social network? Your energetic well-being is your mindfulness and your presence, your ability to find your flow and to really be one. Right? To find your peaceful center. Your intellectual well-being is about your learning and setting goals and mastering skills. Your environmental well-being is how you are in nature, how you are in this space in your world. So what does your environment look like in your house, in your workspace, but also outside, how do you operate in the world around you? Your occupational well-being talks about you doing meaningful work and being compensated for your meaningful work. And then your financial well-being talks about your earning, your spending, and your saving. So over these 10 components, you can see how they're all interrelated. If you feel depleted in a few areas, then it is definitely going to impact you in other areas. It's very hard to compartmentalize for a long period. Now, sometimes we can, right? There are always stories of people who can compartmentalize and just say, I'm gonna focus on this, I'm gonna push through no matter what, and I will deal with the consequences later. That's fine for the short term. We have all sacrificed sleep or, eating good food or socializing with our friends to meet deadlines, for example. That's not sustainable. That does not create wholeness and happiness and fulfillment over a long period of time. That is only a sprint. That is not a marathon, right? So when you think of the marathon of running a business and being an entrepreneur, you really need to understand all 10 components need a little bit of support at various times. And so sometimes you can sacrifice or do shortcuts, but that's not sustainable. So on this next chart, I want you to gauge where you are today. In all 10 categories, how fulfilled do you feel in each category? And I have had clients who have just drawn a line right across the 7.5 and said, yep, I'm good. I'm good. You need to be honest, right? This does no one any good if you are not honest. You need to say, you know what? Actually, I'm in a job or in a business that is taking away from me. It's making me feel sad. It's making me feel burnt out. It's pushing me to my edge. I'm snapping at my kids. I'm not happy. I'm dragging myself to work every day, right? If that's the case, are you really connecting in a beautiful and magical way with your partner and your family if you don't even have the energy to get up and do your work, right? Everything is connected, and there are some things that are even more connected than others, but overall, you need more balance than imbalance. So this chart is for you and you alone. Nobody needs to see this, but it's for you to check in and say, how am I really doing? Because if I am numbing out my feelings because I don't want to deal with them, and I'm drinking a little bit too much, or I'm eating a little too much, or I'm shopping a little too much because I don't want to deal with my feelings, there are ramifications for that, right? So you numbing yourself to your emotional well-being will absolutely impact your occupational. It'll actually impact how much money you can make. It impacts your energy, right? It saps away from your social and relational commitments, right? So all things are connected. I want you to be really honest with yourself here and just see where you are. There is no shame in the self-care game. Like, let's just put that out there. It's absolutely yours to manage and to hold, to have and to hold. But if there are areas where you are low in the 2, 3, 4, 5 range, we need to boost that. We need to add some self-care practices that help support you in those ways. Because there's no point you saying, I'm feeling crummy, I'm gonna go have a massage, when you're actually stressed out about money, right? That massage is not gonna help you. You need to target your self-care practices to feed the parts of your self-care that are low, right? You don't need to have intellectual stimulation if you are in a super challenging and intellectual job. You don't need to boost that anymore, but you might need a night out to go dancing with your friends or go and have a bonfire on the beach and reconnect with your cousins and your relatives, right? Because you're missing that social piece. So when you know where you're low, you know what self-care practices are geared to support the parts of you that are low, because those are the ones that matter, right? If your cup is full in one category, you don't need to add anything else to your cup. It's full. You want to find the empty cup and fill that up a little bit, right? So let's look at some of these self-care practices. Here is a list of all kinds of different solutions, all kinds of different options, all kinds of different ideas. This is by no means a definitive list of anything. I'm low in my physical space, in my physical well-being. So what are things that I need to check off? I can add drinking more water, getting enough sleep, eating a healthy meal a day. I can move my body. I can go for a bike ride with my partner. I can play tag with my kids. I can sign up for a tennis thing. I can go to the doctor and get my blood pressure checked and do a blood workup and make sure that I'm on track and everything is fine. I can get my eyes tested. I can go to the dentist. I haven't been in a while. You can then generate a list of things to do to support you in your physical well-being when you know what area is low. So look through this list, and on this chart, just start jotting in a couple things that really might work for you. So in your energetic self-care space, in your physical space, in your emotional space, what are things you can do? Because even though right now you might be fine and you might be full and you're like, oh my gosh, occupationally and financially, I'm in great shape, you might want to identify things that can help support those areas when it comes time that you recognize those have fallen lower. Maybe your money situation has stressed you out. Maybe your clients are no longer your ideal clients and you're doing work you didn't really want to be doing. And so now you're struggling in your business. You can come back to this list and say, oh yeah, I remember. These are the self-care practices that help support me in these categories, right? So let me implement a few of those and really go through the process. So some of these you might use right now, and some of these you might not use right now, but you'll want to know them for later. So if you don't need them right now, that's amazing, and I love that, but still take note of what you can do when the time comes, if the time comes that you need support in those areas. Now, once you've identified your self-care areas that need a little support, schedule them in, right? There's no point saying, I'm gonna go for a walk every day. I'm gonna go for a 30-minute walk for my spiritual well-being, my physical well-being, my emotional well-being. All of these things will benefit because I'm taking a walk in nature every day. If you don't schedule it, it probably won't happen. If you don't put your shoes by the door, put your exercise clothes by your bed, it probably isn't happening. So use these calendars, or your own calendar, of course, to say, when am I going to schedule in self-care? When is my well-being becoming a priority in my business? Because as much as you want to be a leader, as much as you want to push yourself, if you hit the wall, if you come crumbling down, you aren't able to help your clients, you're not being a role model for your colleagues, and you're really setting your business up to struggle in winter. Arianna Huffington was pushing herself so hard she blacked out on stage because she was cutting her sleep down to what felt like minutes a night. What she needed was 7 hours of sleep, and she was not giving that to herself. She was going 3, 2, 4 hours every night. She went up on stage to deliver this giant speech to a room full of people, and she blacked out because she was exhausted, because she didn't recognize her self-care needs. Now, she is a massive sleep advocate right now, but before, if she had done this exercise, she would have thought, physically, I'm not really feeling all that great. I'm sluggish, I'm slow, I'm relying on too much coffee, I'm using sugar in the afternoon to give me the energy push to get through the end of my day. She might have recognized there was something amiss, right? I don't want that to be you. Let's get in front of the problem and prevent it from happening in the first place. So please take some time to fill out this chart, understand your wellness in all of the 10 categories, and start listing out things that speak to you. If going for a walk in the forest does not sound like a good idea to you, what does? Right? If it's a physical one, if it's a spiritual one, if it's an environmental self-care practice, what does sound good? Right? Maybe it's kayaking down a river. Maybe it is going for a swim in the lake. Maybe it's yoga to a video that you have streaming on your television, right? You get to decide. This is your self-care practice. There is no right and wrong. This exercise just points out where you put your focus today. Now, in 2 months, your focus might be somewhere totally different. So please come back to this wellness check-in as often as you need to and say, how am I feeling? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed. Let's break that down. Is it a financial stressor? Are you fighting with your partner? Do you feel like you have no social life? Are you just feeling lethargic and, very unmotivated to move your body? Once you know, and you can fix it. Just being overwhelmed, you don't know how to fix it, right? So let's target our solutions to actually attack the problem. Anyways, please let me know if you have any questions about this. I'm more than happy to talk about self-care. It really is a foundation of all of living. Yes, it's part of our business brilliance and our life. It is our life force to be well, to be strong, to show up in our fullness, to be healthy and able to give to other people. Because we cannot give if there is nothing inside, right? We know that. So let's take care of us so we can serve other people. Anyways, congratulations on getting through this module. Please take some time to understand your healthcare and self-care needs, and I will see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.